There for too long. What we are going a quick note about our own channel. As quite a few of you have been actually on our channel viewing different programs, who would know. But for those who are new here today, and I'm sure we'll be having a lot of global consulting, branding, marketing, and Madhumalti, really welcome to the show. And I would also want to welcome our young participants. And it's such a pleasure to have a Triam here, to have Avanti here, and of course, Mataz and Hannah here. A warm welcome to you. I know it's a global program, so you're going to be heard in a lot more places in the world, and we are on 7 different technology platforms today. So it's a pleasure to be with all of you. Madhumalti, would you want to say a few words? Why we really decided to do such kind of a program, which is I feel as as of course someone who has been into the leadership, but also as a parent, we know how important it is. So if you would like to start the show with a few words, and then we have a bunch of questions for you really.
Sure. Thank you so much, Rajshri, for such a warm welcome. I really appreciate it. I feel really good. And hello to everyone who's watching. Warm greetings. Today on Navami Day, we celebrate this as a great day in India where we are worshipping Shakti or Ma Durga. So, this is of significance for us also because, like Rajshri mentioned, I'm very passionate about getting more girls into technology. And this is actually a good time to talk about why more girls should also get into coding and learn these skills. We don't need a chakra or a sword or an arrow now. The tools that we need or the weapons that we need in today's world is actually digital skills. I wouldn't call it a weapon. Actually, it's a very positive thing to have this skill. So that's I'm really really happy to be on this show today, Rajshri. And like you mentioned, a lot of parents and teachers and students themselves ask this question as to, everybody's talking about coding. Is it really needed? What should I do? Where should I begin? And all of that. So I'm very happy to answer questions that you have. Thanks for inviting me. I think you are muted, Rajshri, so we cannot hear
Yeah,
you.
I was just
Sorry.
trying to get my mute on. So, firstly, we would really first want to understand because, no matter how much we all know, we think we know so much today because we see so many of the games, apps, and we're so much close to technology, all of us. I honestly think we none of us really understand what coding is, and coding from a simple perspective as well as coding from a long term perspective. What does it really have in store for kids? Why do you think you've trained such great kids who are here today, and they're young girls and boys who are doing extremely well? So you definitely had this perspective when you started, almost I can say a decade ago. You started developing these programs. You had this idea, and then in a couple of years you put everything together and you started really training them. I know you've trained your own children in and out through smaller examples, day-to-day examples. So if you could really start off telling us what coding really means from maybe your IBM perspective, because yeah, in our generation we never learned coding when we were as young. We probably took a degree and then jumped into it.
Sure. So, coding in very simple terms, like Leo would explain, is learning to code, he says, is like learning to think, which I think is correct. When we are actually trying to write a program or tell the computer how to do something, we are actually breaking down the problem into smaller problems. And then it is easy to tackle them or easy to take care of it. So, that's what coding really is. Think of it like this, we put up blocks together to build something. So coding is actually just like that. You pick up little pieces and blocks and you add one on top of the other and the other. And then there you have it. You can have a story, you can have a game, you have an animation, you have a mobile app which people can use. So it has many, many different things which can be done with it. So that in very simple terms is what coding is.
So I think if really if we could have one of the participants, if Leo would like to also add to it.
Yeah, sure. I completely
Leo,
agree
and I
with.
want to give a quick introduction to the viewers that, Leo might seem as young that he is, but he's been speaking at a lot of conferences. So, it's very impressive. And we would definitely want to get some viewpoints from you as well.
Yeah, sure. So I completely agree with everything that Madhumalti said, and I would also like to add on that it's also a way of abstracting a problem instead of also like breaking it down, and to like try and see it as like general as possible. And then if you can solve the general problem, then solving the actual particular problem becomes significantly easier too. And I feel that children have an innate abstraction concept that they have and that they can use and that they can apply, and that coding just strengthens this to be able to make them some of the best programmers, coders.
Great. So, Madhumalti, going to the next question, really. I mean, when the kids are trying to learn it, what are the different types of applications that they get to learn when they learn coding, and where should they really start, and how should they progress with it?
So there are many different ways to start, just like it is for any subject, more so for coding, because of the fact that people all over the world have realized how important it is. So there are a lot of resources which are available online now. One of the problems that happens is if there is too much of information, you get lost in it and you're not sure how to begin. So it would be good to start with something very simple. So there are a lot of sites like code.org. There are little apps like Tinker. There are apps like Scratch and Scratch Junior for younger ones, and MIT App Inventor to make mobile apps. So start with things which are available for free without investing a lot of time and effort in trying to, like for example, if you want to learn how to develop a mobile app for the iOS, you have to even buy that. So I would suggest to wait for that a little bit. Start with the free tools which are available, play around with it, see how it is, get the guidance of someone who's done it so that they can take you through it, and then it is possible to do it. The beauty of coding is that when you can build something really small, see how it is, and then you can take it to the next level. So start with something very simple, and start with something very simple, and
Very modest of you because you've already initiated it for these kids, and they were kids, and today they are all set to take it up professionally. So you could actually visualize it at that point in time, and it's been nice for them to be able to take up matters. I think that's just great that all this is helping you in your career path that you are on. and amazing to know that you're with such a great college, trying to work on computer sciences, really. Hannah, it's your turn now.
Yeah, hello. Like Matthias, I started coding at Workshop for Me about 6, maybe 7 years ago. And I actually got involved through the Code with Girls initiative that Madhumalti was having, which was absolutely incredible because coding with a bunch of other girls really made me feel very sort of secure in that environment. And yeah, I'm now studying economics and sociology at Trinity College in Dublin, which is a very different path to what Matthias, for
Yeah.
example, is doing. However, I'm so happy that I did take up coding because it's helped me so much, not only in sort of the logical thinking and developing that ability to solve problems and break them down into smaller pieces, but I've been able to internships over the summer that I've done. My coding has really helped me to sort of work on projects that weren't even meant for me to be doing as an intern, and it's really made me be able to take problems and break them down and work from the details to create a much bigger, larger outcome. And even though I'm not studying something related to computer science now, I still am so grateful that I have these skills with me because they help me every day with all the work I do. Yeah.
Well, this is exactly what we were trying to trying to understand, how it is really going to be for kids, because right now, especially where I am, the Indian continent, what we really understand coding is at the school level is that it is something which is now getting incorporated into our routine school schedules, and even the government here is actually trying to get it into a regular curriculum now. So for us, really, it's just another subject maybe that we have been told to take up. But it is interesting to know and to understand for all of us that it's not just for that, but it is just like any other subject. For example, you learn maths because you have to use it for so many several things in your future, in everything, not just your career but your life. And I think coding is exactly going to do that, is what I understand. Isn't that, Madhumalti? Because I think maybe at this moment we're probably using a lot of applications, but or we've come to the point where now we create our own flyers, we create, at times we are even creating our own websites. But there could be a day where we're using coding and crunching so many smaller to bigger things daily. I mean, it could be probably something which we need to do day in, day out, just as Microsoft Word, maybe. What do you think?
Absolutely. So, a lot of people ask, but I don't want to become a programmer. So why should I learn how to code?
Yeah.
Why should I learn to code? So, it's just like everyone who learns a language doesn't become an author, right? So, you need
Yeah.
to know it just to be able to have a way of expressing yourself, of being able to say what you would like. So, coding is actually just another way to express yourself. You can express your creativity, you can express what you are feeling, you can also express what you would like to do. So if you see an actual problem that you would like to solve, maybe you can solve it through coding. So this actually makes me think of the Technovation Challenge, which actually Hannah has also participated in, and so has Avanti, where it is a worldwide app development contest where children as young as 11 years old, so it's an all girls contest, so teams are formed of girls and they are expected to solve one of the problems within their community, which have to be aligned to the SDGs, so the Sustainable Development Goals, which the UN has brought in. And they can pick any theme that they would like and work together like a team, build an app. The older children also have to build a business plan about the app. So they also learn about entrepreneurship and how it is to take an idea completely from, where you just thought about it up to the point where you have an app behind it. You've thought about how to take it forward and how to, create a difference in the community. So maybe Avanti can share some of her examples of the apps she's built or the things she's done for Technovation, and then Hannah can jump in as well. Y'all were together in one of the teams as well, right? So yeah, Avanti, maybe you can take it and Hannah can jump in.
Sure. Hey everyone. So I completely agree with Madhumalti and Hannah about the way coding also helps children develop their own different mindset. It has more of a growth mindset, and none of the subjects in school have that mindset. It makes you think on how to do something and the strategy. And talking about the real life applications and using the SDGs was really a big part of the Technovation Challenge. So I remember the day where me and Hannah were brainstorming the ideas and what we could do. So let's, for example, take the application of our app together, me and Hannah's. That was called One Click Safety. And that aligns with the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 5, gender equality. So this app was about if girls are walking home alone, then a lot of them are scared. They want to make sure that they're safe. They want to make sure nothing happens to them while they're walking home at night. So our app just had 3 simple buttons. One was to ring a very loud alarm. Another one was to send your location to your emergency contacts. And the final one was to take a picture from your front and back camera and also send that to the police. And as Madhumalti was saying, that coding doesn't have to just be about coding. You can do so many more things with coding itself. If someone wants to become an artist, for example, they can use coding to make their own sketches and drawings. If someone wants to help the world come out of poverty, they can make an app where you could donate money to charities. So coding has a lot of examples which don't necessarily have to fall in to the box or the framework which most people think of. Hannah, would you like to add anything more to that?
Yeah, I think what I'd like to add is that we've been very much so talking about the utilities of coding, which are very, very important, of course. But something that hasn't been mentioned yet is that coding is so much fun. I started it as a hobby. I'd never meant to sort of do it as a teacher as I am now. I sort of accidentally learned it because I was just having so much fun. And at first it was just solving simple little problems with pen and paper. And suddenly I was able to like make entire apps. And I don't even realize at what point I learned all these skills because I was just having so much fun. And I remember when we were making the Technovation project, we were filming our pitch for it, and I was just having such a fun time. It didn't even feel like I was doing a big project. I was just having fun with our group, and it felt so good to be solving a real issue at such a young age as well when we did it.
Well, so that really brings me to the point, Madhuvanti, and I want to ask that to Avanti. Avanti, really, yeah, how old are you?
I have just turned 14, just on the 1st of October.
Okay.
But it was such an honor for me, and because my mom was such a tech enthusiast, she really wanted girls to become into coding. I guess that I kind of learned it from her, and agreeing with Hannah's point as well. For me, in the beginning, coding was just such a fun thing to do. I just started coding because I saw how creative you could be and what you could make. I remember my first project, I loved ballet at that time. I made a ballerina dance and I was so happy with that. And for me, coding was never like a job which I had to do. It was just a hobby which you keep developing, just as you said, Hannah. Like, for example, some people like ice skating a lot, then they keep doing ice skating and then they end up going to the Olympics. So for me, that was just the same thing which happened. I started coding because it was just so fun to do. It was fun to make things move on your screen. It was just fun to see what happens in the end. And then, thanks to Madhumalti, I have this platform where I can encourage other girls to also help and bring them into coding as well.
So I can see a workshop for me at your background. I mean, Is that what you've been doing? And that's the platform you've been using to train more kids, and take the baton. Of course, not taking the baton really, but of your what your mom did to you. Probably you can actually take it forward, isn't it?
Yes, so that is the platform I've been using. So I am the preteen technology specialist of Workshop for Me, and I'm one of the instructors. And for me, I teach young children coding, also going into the teen level as well. I teach some teens coding, and I think that Workshop for Me is such a great platform because we are using young instructors, and that way the children don't feel as if this is a classroom, very tight, very strict, as if they have to behave a certain way. It just feels like a fun day. It's like a play date where you guys hang out and play and talk about coding. So yes, Workshop for Me is the platform which I'm using.
Okay, so on that point, of course, I'm going to bring the limelight back to Mother Malti and would like to make her tell us how she really decided and what really brought that to her, that she should train young kids, and then eventuality, and of course your experience as a mother, what Avanti is saying is also where start to teach your kids in a very fun way, and then actually that's how they learn and they will teach more. So that definitely was your vision. So if you would like to say a little bit about it, and then of course we will have more questions to the younger participants here as well.
Sure. So we actually started Workshop for Me. So Leo was my co-founder. He was 12 at that time. He's 19 now. So we actually started it 7 years ago. Where we formally started it 7 years ago. I actually wanted to start Workshop for Me because being in coding and being in the technology domain for a long time, I was keen that my children also learn how to do it. And then I thought, maybe if me as a parent thinks that my kids should do it, maybe there are other parents out there who think that they would like their kids to learn as well. So that's what actually initiated and got me started into coding. It was absolutely informal environment. The kids were just coming in. In fact, when we started, we were meeting in the house. People were sitting on the sofa, on the carpet, having milk and cookies during the break. You guys remember that? So we still continue to do that. And the idea was that kids will create things which they would like. It's not that there is a particular lesson plan that needs to be followed. Everybody creates whatever they would like to. So if somebody wants to work on a space project, they create a space project. If someone wants to work on a project to dress me up, so choose the different accessories and make a dress and a hat and whatever, they would do that. And the idea was, while making their project, they're able to learn so many different concepts. So the idea is not to teach something in terms of theory, but to actually apply it. So suppose you are trying to make a game, and then you realize, hey, I would like to have a score. How many baskets have I scored, for example? So then you realize, how am I going to do that? And then you learn, oh yeah, for that I have to create a variable, which is going to be a score. And that's when you're introduced to the concept of a variable. You want to, I want to make this girl jump 20 times on the trampoline. How do I do that? So then you learn the concept of loops. You learn the repeat block. So the idea is always that you're trying to solve a problem, you're trying to do something, and because of that you are learning the different concepts that are needed for it. So it's always practical, practical problem solving, and practical approach of doing things. A lot of times in schools we have seen that kids say, why should I learn trigonometry, or why should I learn chemistry? They're never able to put it into the perspective of, what am I going to use it for? So the idea is always to talk about what you're going to use it for. And this, I think, should be the way for every form of teaching. So instead of teaching trigonometry as this is the formula for sine and this is the formula for cos and tan, it can be done in a practical way. So I remember we were out on a family trip and we were a little away from the Eiffel Tower. And then we were talking about, okay, from here, I can see the Eiffel Tower over there. We know the height of the Eiffel Tower. How far do we think we are from it? How much more do we need to walk to get to it? And in order to solve this problem, we talked about trigonometry, we talked about which formula to use, and we were able to arrive at how much of distance we have from the Eiffel Tower, and therefore how much time it's going to take us to do. So, and when kids learn something, like this, they are always able to remember it, and they are always able to apply it in the future. I also remember Leo coming to me excitedly, from his robotics session when he was representing Luxembourg in the first global competition. And he was young at that time, and they were trying to make the robot move in an omnidirectional way so that it would be most efficient. And he learned a very difficult physics concept. He will be able to talk more about it. And he came so excitedly that he has learned about it and these difficult formulas, but it didn't feel like that. For him, it was, wow, I have learned to do this because it helps me solve the problem of making my robot more efficient. So I think the moment we start changing the mindset of learning things in order to, solve a problem, or because I want to do this, therefore I need it and therefore I learn it. The moment we put things in this perspective, the children will take a completely different view of how it is to learn any subject. And that is the beauty of coding, and that is the beauty of creating the informal atmosphere where everyone feels as if, yes, I would like to. I mean, it's not as if we ever told the kids, Matthias, I don't think we ever said, go ahead and create a hangman game. But he created it when he learned Python, the hangman game where you have to guess the name of the movie or whatever. So it's always that children work on whatever it is that they would like to work on, and in order to do it, then they learn the concepts which are needed to be able to solve it. So that's the way forward. That's the way it's going to be.
So I think to your point, and to the point that Avanti and Hannah made earlier, I have someone who actually took a introductory class, and Avanti was actually teaching in that session that day. And I want Kimaya to actually, she's going to share her input. It's very nice to see that what how kids feel the same, and the way you have envisioned it, Madhumalti, that's the way the kids are actually enjoying this and at the same time learning it. So this is very interesting again.
This pandemic has been such a fearful and boring time. Even while we are having good online school, yet it isn't as interesting and fun. I love being a techie, so I have learned and I am practicing Microsoft Office, video making, collages, and have been also using different apps for gaining more knowledge and play. However, last weekend I had a super exciting time and amazing learning experience with an introductory session on coding conducted by Workshop for Me. Since then, I have been after my mom to get me enrolled into the whole course, as I thoroughly enjoyed making my own game and at the same time interacting with global classmates. The European teacher was a young girl who taught us every step so fluently and well. I got totally engrossed in her teaching and would love to learn lots more from her. Thank you, Workshop for Me, for coming to India. Now I have so much more fun and learn building my own games, apps, and more.
So
That's
it's
so sweet of Kibaya. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you so much. I feel so good about this.
Yeah, so I guess that really reflects on what you have been doing. That's a compliment for Avanti, I guess, and exactly to the point that you all have been doing and contributing so that kids can learn more and more. And of course, I guess looking at all the four kids you've trained, Madhumalti, not just the coding, but also in terms of communication, I guess, especially when Avanti mentioned that she picked it up from you and started really training. I guess it's also added a lot to their communication skills and the way they are able to conduct classes, and at a different level, it is also helping them. So a little bit we will go on the specifics of the different type of programs, and then of course to your conferences and also the competitions that you are a part of. So there are two different types of things which parents, and there are a few questions from parents who are here out here in India, and a couple of questions coming from outside of India as well. Well, people really understand that Scratch is probably the basic coding concept, and when it comes to advanced training, it is Python. And Python, as of course, as a marketing professional, I understand, as I said, tomorrow we may land up using coding in and out, and AI is really, I'm sorry, my video had switched off. AI is really becoming something which is going to be the next, it has already become the next gen thing. And we marketers cannot imagine, doing anything without it. And not just marketing, but also operationally, it's just going to be so much of useful for the market. So when it comes to even careers that the kids you're training, it's going to be very, very useful. So if you can explain the concept of Scratch and Python, and any of you could pick that up, if Madhumalti, you can decide who can actually speak about it.
Sure. Leo, do you want to go ahead and talk about the different courses, and maybe, yeah, and talk about also some of a little bit about your story, because I think it will help people understand the perspective as well.
Yeah, sure. I can start off with my story. So basically, how I even got into programming, I don't even realize it now, but it all started at a project manager talk in 2014, where I wanted to present to other parents and their children that there's this cool way of organizing your time, so then you've got time to both play and do your homework, and there's not as much conflict in the house. And then from there, uh, people really liked it. And then after that, I got into website development for people. And then before I realized it, I was ready to coding, making applications, starting participating in hackathons and gave presentations. And then there was an indication to start addressing international conferences, and the subject widened from just coding and technology for education to also industry challenges such as e-commerce or airlines. And then from there, it went on to leading a robotics team in both Washington, D.C. and Dubai in 2017 and 19. And here I am today pursuing electrical and electronics engineering, which is the foundation of robotics or applied programming. Um, as for the programs that we do, if I could just bring up that I've met parents in various countries and nationalities, and one thing that they have in common is that all of them, that they are worried. One very strong feature of worry is that it gets passed on to others, it multiplies and spreads fast, and we have to stop worrying. And this could be done by taking actions. Worry begets worry. Action begets confidence to do. We have several examples of a 5-year-old entering our parents, not letting go. They were worried children of worried parents. And then after coding, in just 45 minutes with us, they went back to their parents exulted, showing their iPad, Mom, look, I did this. And then the week after, in the next class, they were running ahead of their parents to quickly enter the classroom and to go flying on their iPads. This joy of creativity, which I've seen unfolding many times before my eyes, and today through this panel discussion, we're going to take the same joy to thousands of parents and maybe millions in the coming years. One of the courses that we do is Scratch, which is a image text-based programming interface, which is not your usual text interface with your black background and your green text and you're typing with your hood up. No, it's more of a colorful, fun, child-oriented programming language based off of JavaScript. And an example I can bring of parents being worried unnecessarily is that there was a 7-year-old and their parents were worried that he would have difficulty reading or writing code because he was dyslexic. And I assured them that it would not be a problem because the code interface, as I said, is image based mostly and not as much text based, but there is still some text to be able to understand and to see what needs to be done. And over the course of this week-long autumn code camp, he made a really advanced Scratch project all by himself. He later on, if I remember correctly, went on to even make a mobile app So one other, which is a free-to-use platform with which you can make Android apps. And that was his story. And I feel that his parents were worried for something that wasn't even that much of an issue. Another course that we offer is exactly like Scratch, but for significantly younger children. So it's called Scratch Junior, and that is completely text. No, sorry, completely image based. There is no text at all. It's all just icons and graphics. And the last course we offer is Python, and we plan to add many more languages and other tools that we will teach in.
That's amazing to hear about the story of I'm sorry, it's going to be a big tongue twister from me. I can't pronounce dyslexics, whatever, but I'm sorry about that. It is as complex as it is for the kid, but you made it so easy resolving and actually tranquilizing everyone really in the family and trying to get the child to do such an amazing job. It's an amazing success story in itself, though it might really look really easy and small, but that's and that's exactly I saw in Kimaya as well that completely happy and now wants to do the class. And then what you said, Leo, is absolutely right. The conflicts and the worry that is there, and it's extensively there in this pandemic right now, and we're going to be through this for maybe another 6 months to a year to go. And I think this is a time, Madhumalti, you and your team really should take this up more to learn. These are and fear that is around, plus the time that they have can actually be better utilized. And of course, we are trying to take these programs and do some introductory sessions to begin with. If you would like to tell the viewers a little bit about it, and then of course I want to understand your perspective when it comes to coaching the children for conferences and also for the different competitions.
Sure. So just to mention, even though I live in Luxembourg for the past 10, 11 years now, I actually am from the I'm of Indian origin. And we have been running workshop for me in Luxembourg. And then we recently went online thanks to COVID. And I thought that the next thing to do would be to be able to take it to the rest of the world. Given the fact, so the idea is to give children the flexibility to learn at their own pace, so at that particular point of time, but give them this balance of some stuff which they can do on their own based on whatever time is good for them, and then some sessions with live instructors like Hannah, Matthias, Leo, Avanti, and others, where they will be able to ask their questions, where they will be able to show their projects with the other people, fellow students in the class, get inspired by them, give them other ideas, and have that kind of an interaction as well. So the idea was to be able to give them the blended methodology and a mix of both. So you do video tutorials, you also do avatar sessions or live sessions with instructors who are, kids and friendly and very very nice, like you saw, like you see over here. I am very happy with all the students that we have. So that is the reason why we went ahead and brought this in India. We are currently working on many other courses. We are only starting with Scratch Junior for the younger children from the age of 6 to 8, Scratch for children from 8 to 12, and App Inventor, which is mobile app development for 12-year-old onwards. So we are starting with the basics so that they will be able to grow with it. The idea will then be that you can build on it and go on to the next level and then the next level, and then be able to create the project on their own completely, whatever app they want to develop, whatever game they want to develop, or whatever application they can think of to do that, and have the guidance of instructors like Hannah, Matthias, and all of our wonderful instructors who will be able to help them make that into an actual thing which they'll be happy to showcase and show. Also, a lot of projects in school are done, where they're expected to maybe build a chart paper. Now with the times where everything is online, maybe creating a scratch project would be more fun to do. So to give them the skills that are needed to be able to do that is another aspect that we want to focus on. And although we are only starting with these, like Leo mentioned, we are going to very soon come up with Python, Java, AI, data science. All these courses are already in the making and they will be coming out. And I would like to encourage everyone to go ahead and give it a try. based on the popular demand, and like you requested, Rajshri, we are happy to run a session to make people get a feel of what it is to learn how to code on Scratch Junior or Scratch or App Inventor. So we can, based on the interest, we can go ahead and announce a session for free where everyone can try and see how it is and really
Yeah.
be able to benefit from it. So this is what I would like to go ahead and do. And coming to India means a lot. I haven't been able to physically come to India this year because of the pandemic. So this is another way of being able to reach out to India and make sure that we are keeping that connection. And it'll give a great platform for both the kids here who are all from different nationalities and living in different countries. So Hannah is from Finland, Matthias is from Hungary. So
Yes.
we have an
Yes.
international team of coaches who will be able to help. And
Yes.
the idea is to be able to have this mingling happening so that everyone comes up with great ideas and they can create something really big and huge.
Yeah, so that couple of questions I wanted to, of course, ask, and you did mention about it, is to maybe to Leo and Matthias, because one, of course, you said different nationalities. So how was it, Matthias, to sort of learn with different kids from different nationalities, and having obviously everyone has something new that you can learn from. How was the experience? And from since you and Leo both have now actually ventured into taking this up as your career, uh, how are you envisioning it? Because like Mandumalti said, she's not been able to come to India this year, but this is the way to get here. So in a lot of things, technology has is going to be the prime thing that we are going to use, without which I don't think any of the businesses or anyone really, not even the businesses personally, is going to be able to get ahead with many much things really.
Yeah, sure. So as Madhumati said, I also agree. I think it's very important to learn and study in these groups of people from different backgrounds, because it not only kind of makes learning easier, because people from different backgrounds tend to think different ways. So you get like another perspectives on things that you maybe
Yeah.
look at one way, and I think that's very helpful. And also it makes people better at kind of being more open-minded in general, I think, which is also a concept
Yeah.
that's very important in programming, because you need to be able to think about new ways of solving problems. And lastly, I think the one of the biggest like positives of this is that it prepares you for the professional world, in the sense that when you will go and work for a company eventually, in most cases there will be, especially if it's a tech company, it's normally a very international kind of workforce. And because you have already have experience working with people who are international, I think that that gives you a great advantage in the future as well.
Great. So
And
that's
and just one
uh-huh.
more thing actually is about, so you
Hmm.
said that as we kind of go forward from here, and especially
Yeah.
because of COVID, everything is moving online. It becomes even ever more important to kind of pick up these skills, I think, because so many of our interactions, as Madhumati was pointing out before as well, are turning to be online, and we simply can't afford to kind of fall behind. So we need to start learning these skills, I think, as soon as possible. And what better time to start than at a young age, because then we learn the fastest.
Well, as again, as a business person, how I look at it is like we're going to have much younger children, or you could say, the more older kids, but they're still going to be able to create. Leo has already been an entrepreneur by really starting up with being the co-founder of Workshop for Me. But we're going to see more such kids coming, doing a lot of these different applications when it comes to AI. For example, I do a lot of work in healthcare, so not just in terms of being able to go out or not, but in organizing so much in healthcare, it's so much of a need. And if they have these, if kids have these skills from the beginning, and even if like Hannah, even if we get into different alternative careers, we'll be able to envision how these skill sets, or how these different programs can actually help us make our businesses more easier to operate, and not just easier but also more efficient and effective when it comes to operations, is what I think. But on that front, if Hannah or Leo, you want to add up, saying that how this has been, learning with your global classmates, and how do you think, Leo, again, you're already an entrepreneur. How is are you thinking about inventing something more when it comes to AI, even before you graduate?
Yeah, AI is a like very interesting field that you like bring up, and yes, as of COVID, it has been gaining like much more popularity. If there's one AI application which I can share with you, it is a very new application, and it was actually like presented at a hackathon that I was part of like a couple of weeks back, and it was that teachers, when they're teaching online and their students are there, they aren't able to correctly judge if a student is following the course, like understanding if they're like behind or things like that. And so this group of students during the hackathon, within 36 hours, made this AI that would evaluate the body language, facial expressions, and things like that of the students, to be able to let the teacher know if the students are feeling motivated, if they're understanding, if they're not, and then just a general like percentage. And there's no like personal um, factors that are included. It's just like the like general uh, amount. And I have to say that because of this COVID, there's been quite a lot of creativity as well as tech fluency that has happened. And it's this one thing fascinates me, that this virus with zero processing power has created zetaflops of new processing power everywhere around the world. Everyone's going to remember that this virus gave everyone masks, but in reality, it kind of gave everyone a device to be able to use and interact with.
Absolutely agree with you. I can't but agree with you, and we've really tried to find out different ways as to how we can still stay safe at home and do so many other things. So it's really exciting to know. Hannah, would you like to add anything?
Well, I suppose I'll just add that even if you're not looking to go into coding, just we're noticing a lot more technology in everything we do. And just being able to understand that is very, very important. I know before I started coding, I'd sometimes be a little bit scared of computers almost. I'd be scared to press buttons and I'd be scared I'd do it wrong. So even if you're not looking to create an AI that can solve the problems, just getting into coding to make sure that you're comfortable with the technology that's becoming such a huge part of our lives is a very, very sort of good and helpful tool.
Well, so I think that Madhumalti brings a question back to you. Really, you specifically decided, because when Hannah just said that, I think it's more with girls and women. I don't know if that's true, but touching different, hitting different keys and trying to use it, and then sometimes it can just be very, very boring. I mean, I realized when I did my B school and people used to learn all this, I would just run away from it because it wouldn't interest me. But there were a few friends who would drag me and make me do it, and then it was so much easier to, and it was so much more fun. But is that the reason why, or what was your larger perspective when you decided that you want to get more women into technology and get more women to learn coding, because that could actually be a good starting point for them?
Yeah, so I have been able to work with a lot of initiatives to get more women into technology. Even as part of IBM, I was doing a lot of initiatives like going into schools and teaching them about coding. We also did a camp where we would get students from different schools, girl students come into IBM every single day, and we would teach them different aspects of science, not just about coding. It could be about chemistry, it could be about physics, but the idea to get them into STEM in general, so science, technology, engineering, and math. So I have been involved with these initiatives for many, many years. We all know that half the population is girls and women, so therefore half of them should be providing an input in the creation of new apps. That is very important to get that perspective as well. And we talked about AI, so it needs representation from all over the world of all kinds of people. It should be completely diverse in order to be something that is useful. So when we started a workshop for me in Luxembourg as well, in person sessions, I saw that a lot of girls were dropping while the brothers were continuing. So the sisters were dropping out of class, and I have seen this phenomenon like all over the world, so it wasn't something completely new. And I thought one of the ways to give that push could be to do an all girls class where girls feel that we are with other people whom we are going to be comfortable with and do. So we actually initiated that, and it did very well. It has been able to create Hannahs of the world. Hannah, you're such a wonderful example. So there have been a lot of girls who have been able to actually go ahead and do much more. We've had girls who didn't speak any English, who spoke only Czech, or who didn't feel comfortable or to even talk to other people, but they all gained a lot of confidence as they built stuff. They made more friends. So all these were the side effects of continuing to learn to code. A lot of good things come out of it. So it is not just the skill of learning to code, but being able to interact with people, being confident to be able to think and present your idea, to make something that you want. All of those things came up with it. And we all know that we need more girls and women in technology. All the numbers show this all over the world. So it is important to start early. Only then it is going to happen. And wearing the hat of the EU Code Week ambassador, and we are doing this program at a very beautiful time, because it's actually we are celebrating EU Code Week this year up till the 25th of October. So that's tomorrow. So wearing the hat of the Code Week coordinator and robotics coordinator, I know that all over the EU, we take special interest and special focus to make sure that we are doing programs which are aligned to get more girls inspired to come ahead, come and do it. So, like the program that Kimaya did, that was specifically for girls to build their own app. Tomorrow we are doing another session which is to involve families, because I think a lot of times the family needs to be convinced that it is helpful and it's a fun thing to do, and it is possible to learn something and do something together. So tomorrow we are running a session called Crack the Code, which will be about encryption and a lot of fun stuff. It will be run by a family. So Leo, Avanti, I, all of us will be running this session, and it is for families to join. The other aspect is it's not necessarily on the screen, so we are going to do unplugged stuff, so you can actually learn about computers using paper pen and not really being in front of the screen as well. So those aspects are also possible to do. And these are the different things and facets that I want to be able to bring forward and let people know about and make the most of.
Well, that's really great to know. And so, yeah, kids have more opportunities to actually explore, enroll into these introductory programs. And I know that we are going to create more of them in the coming 2 weeks as well. So more number of kids, actually, we will be utilizing the Zoom app, and at the same time, we will also be utilizing trying to take this to more number of platforms which can actually make it live. So what that can do is really take it to more number of people to be able to see how these sessions are actually run. Madhubalti, a couple of questions more before we actually conclude today's session really of understanding coding is, of course, I do also want you to quickly tell people, how do you actually coach the kids to really, participate in these competitions, and how can they really take part of it, and how have they been able to take part in these different conferences, and how do they really help the kids to learn coding and take it to the next level better?
Sure. So, like we know, thanks to COVID, a lot of the hackathons and conferences and everything has gone online. But even before this time, we have been able to put together a group of students who have participated in a hackathon. So, both Leo, Avanti, Hannah, all of them have participated in different hackathons or competitions, whether it is to develop an app, whether it is to build anything that you want. So for example, Leo and his team had built the buster.lu, which gives you the bus timetables. And Avanti had another app about finding out the recycling centers which are close to your location. And in fact, as part of that, this Technovation team, they were selected as the semi-finalists. So they were one of 100 teams selected from all over the world who were semi-finalists for the Technovation Challenge last year. there are a lot of hackathons which happen. For example, the Game of Code happens in Luxembourg. There is also the Coolest Projects which happens. It was in fact in Dublin, where you are, Hannah, last year, and Avanti and other people from the Workshop for Me team had gone and presented their project. So there are a lot of such initiatives which are happening, and we always try to align with it and go ahead and give the children an opportunity to present their project over there, or to participate in that particular competition and apply their skills, also get an opportunity to get a diverse view, because there are people participating from all over the world, of how things are, what can be done. So there's a lot of learning involved in being able to present your stuff as well. And like you can see in the children, Matthias and I were discussing, when we learn, when we teach someone, then we end up learning much more about something. So
Yes.
that is the other aspect about it as well. So give everyone an opportunity to do that too. Also, I believe that it is we are underestimating the iGens and the teenagers and the young people of today. We think that they are brash, that they don't want to do anything. I know Leo had done a TEDx talk where he said that iGens are misunderstood all over the world, and people think we are no good, and we are just self-obsessed. We just want to take selfies and we want to just waste away our time. But that's not actually true. I think that they have a lot of potential, and therefore it is very important to be able to channelize and focus that in the
Correct.
right
Yes.
direction. So people say, I want to restrict the screen time of my child, and I always tell those parents, there's nothing wrong with screen time, just like there's nothing wrong with a knife. You can use a knife to cook your dinner, you can also use a knife to hurt someone. So the knife is not bad. Similarly, screen time is not bad. If your child is using the screen time to build more skills, to learn how to code, or maybe to learn how to play the recorder or the piano, now we have so many resources to be able to learn, then it is absolutely okay to have that screen time. So it is important to give that opportunity to the youngsters of today to be able to channelize their resources,
Right.
channelize their energy, and do well with it.
Well, today's session actually let me learn a lot as well. I mean, I would like to quickly summarize it, and then I want all of you to put 30 seconds of your concluding remarks so that we can really end today's session. Really, we started by understanding coding simply is what we understand from this, and keep it very exciting. So and learning it with exciting young trainers, it makes it really more exciting and interesting. It makes it good for the trainers as well, because while teaching, like Madhumalti, you said, while teaching, they can learn more and more. And if they take that up as a career, that teaching experience is actually going to do them much more good, because they of course get their communication skills get better. When they're actually presenting at different conferences, it gets better. Leo did mention how it really started by a talk where he had to talk on a completely different topic, which is about managing time and managing conflicts, etc. So a really good learning out of that. And then how do we make use of this, no matter which career which we are going to take up. As it could be people like Hannah or me, who are completely into a different career, but yet how coding can really help us. And maybe it can also help. Leo has already become a co-founder, but Avanti is really taking these workshops up very seriously, and coaching younger kids in such a fun and engrossing way that we actually witness that. But I know Matthias and Hannah and Leo, all of them have been taking it very, very uh, making it fun, taking it very seriously, so that they make it fun and exciting for all of them. So really it matters that they learn coding in a simple way, with great trainers who probably can identify with them, and at the same time are so fluent about it, and they themselves get more fluent about it. What a noble thought, Madhumalti, trying to get kids to play, and like you say, learn code and play. So it becomes only much more fun, doesn't get boring ever for them, and it's never taxing for them. In fact, you've helped shape up the careers of these four kids who are here today. And And they are of course going to take that up forward so that they can shape up careers of many more kids out there. It's great to be with all five of you. It's been a pleasurable experience itself. And to me, I would like to add a note saying that, of course, as a business person, having to do a number of other things which doesn't have much to do with coding, it's absolute pleasure to be able to take this initiative of yours to bigger frontiers, taking it to more number of people, and keeping our fingers crossed. I'm sure we'll be able to reach to more people. And Madhumalti, like you said, making it possible for more number of people to take it up in a more economical way. We will never call it. It's never going to get cheaper. It's economical, but we are trying to make it economical. We're trying to devise different methodologies so that we can reach to more and more can actually learn out of this. So great experience. If all of you can just do 30 seconds of, or even if you stretch it a little bit, I don't mind, but put your last concluding remarks on this. We could start with with any one of you. I don't want to really.
I can go first.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to use this opportunity to really encourage any kids, but especially girls, to take up coding or at least give it a go, because I know it can feel a bit abstract and hard to grasp at first. So at least give it a try, and then if you decide it's not for you, that's okay, but at least you know what you're missing out on. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure to speak here today.
Thank you.
I would also like to say that coding doesn't have to just be, let's say, most people when they think of coding, they think of a hacker doing something wrong, or they think of coding, they say, oh, I have to work in Google. But no, coding can be for everybody. You can do whatever you want. You can pursue whatever career you want, but coding will help in some way with that career. And we may not realize it now, but just taking Hannah's example, she didn't realize that maybe she was going to use coding in her internship, but it ended up happening. So coding is really the future, and it's really giving you a power and an advantage if you do learn how to use it over everybody else.
Great.
I
So
would like to
maybe
add on.
we should start learning coding too.
Yes, of course. I would like to add on to what Avanti said, that something I really like about coding is that it's this wonderful mix of being a science, but also a platform for artists to express. It is a way, it's a science, but it's also like a very like artistic subject. Like there are several artists that use programs to be able to make their music or their artwork or things like that. And it's not strictly a science subject, which is what I like. Is that, and it's in this gray like middle field
Yes.
that's between a science and an art, and like I don't know like what it is. So that's why I feel like coding is very universal. And I would also like to add that parents do not feel worried. Your child will be able to like manage, and they will enjoy it quite a lot. I've seen it time and time again. And I would definitely like encourage parents who are thinking that, oh no, like maybe my child can't do it for this or this reason. These are just your worries, and they do not at all apply to the child.
Well, Matthias, it's your turn now.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to conclude, I wanted to reiterate how important I think it is. I almost think it's almost essential nowadays that everyone should at least learn a bit of coding, because you can apply it to any profession, as both Avanti and Hannah have said before, and it will just become more and more prominent as we do most things through a computer now. It will always help you understand how things work. And moreover, I wanted to also highlight the fact that I think coding really brings people together, because coding, unlike most professions, it's very open source. So most of the time when someone builds a project or creates a tool, they normally put it out there for anyone to use for their own projects if they want to create something. And so the more people learn coding and practice it, the more it will build the community as a whole and make it easier for people to work on things after. So I think it's an amazing thing, and this also brings people together.
It's a
And
great thought.
thank you very much
Absolutely a great thought. Yeah.
and thank you very much for having me today.
Pleasure. So Madhumalti, it's going to be you who would be actually summarizing it for us today.
Super. So I'm very delighted to be part of this. Like I mentioned a lot of times that yeah, for EU Code Week we wear orange t-shirts, and whenever I'm wearing the orange t-shirt, I say I'm donning my superpower of coding. So I would like to actually give the superpower of coding to so many other people and children to be able to try it out, because this is actually the new superpower. Thank you so much for having us here today, Rajshri. We really appreciate it.
Well, it's absolutely my pleasure. More than an hour, we just didn't even realize that we spent such a good time together. But thank you, all of you, for coming here. And I'm sure this is the beginning. I think we're going to do more of this, trying to get more and more people engaged with us. Just as Matthias said, brings people together. I love the thought that it creates an entire community, which is a vision that Madhumalti has really seen. Almost a decade ago, and we all are taking it forward. So looking forward to more sessions. Viewers, hope this was a very interesting session for you, and I hope we have been able to uh, get the answers to the questions which a lot many parents out there do have regarding coding, and to understand that coding is just not what you're basically doing, but enjoying it. Just as Leo said it's science and art together. So it's more creativity and fun together, and taking it up so that it is going to be the next generation thing. So that none of the kids are going to be said that you don't do anything. You're going to be able to do a lot with all the intelligence, wisdom that you too have in you. On that note, I think we will end the program for today out here. And I would like to thank the panelists again for coming down. And I would like to thank the viewers who keep coming every time for so many of our sessions and encouraging us and helping us actually, spread the word and help the community take an advantage out of it. Thank you very much. And you all have a great weekend. And all the people here in India, I would like to wish you a very happy Dasra from the entire team that is here today, a global team which was here today. And it's such a good note or a good time of the year when we had this session, and we will be conducting more introductory sessions which you all can participate in it. We will be coming out with all that information soon for you. Thank you. I'm going to leave you with a promo of the RSG Energia Nutrition and Healthcare, which actually helps us put every program together relentlessly. They help us share all about the programs, the teasers, sending it to several different groups. We already had thousands of people attending this show, and it's really a hard effort from Mahesh Tarade and his team, doing this work in and out for us. So a promo of their products really out here.